Well, Call, thank you for jumping on. Hopefully you're watching. I mean, if you have to listen on the call, I understand that. But I think these videos, these live trainings, being able to see the people interact, the way they carry themselves has been awesome. So welcome. Thank you for jumping on. And we promise you'll be another hour that's jam-packed full of training and information. You will see as this call progresses, we'll post the leaderboards on Facebook, and we're going to email them out to everybody in the country. The reason we're doing this is just from a timely standpoint. We have 3 amazing trainers on from all over the country. You're going to see from today some things I want to get to. So we're just going to be in a place where we want to send those numbers out so you can see those, and we get as much amazing training as we possibly can. So, but I want to start by reading something. I'll make it quick. People always say to me, how do you figure out who you enjoy working with and want to be around? And I always kind of use this. If my children, were in the room and I had to go step out of the room and talk to somebody, would I feel comfortable about that person or persons being around my kids? Can't judge anybody, none of us, but I discern a lot, like what kind of parent is that person, and for me, it's that's our biggest resource, our greatest resource, right? Is the little ones, I guess, with our kids. And this is a letter that Terry Heron's daughter wrote him. It was a class assignment that said, you can write a letter to anybody you choose to, and Leah chose to write it to her dad. And I want to read it real quick and make a couple comments because it speaks to a lot about being an independent contractor and attitude and everything else. So, dear Dad, there are many people I could be writing to, but I chose you. I love you very much, and I want to thank you for teaching me that to always be positive and to always love no matter what. I remember when you would go out of town to work and we would be home with Mom, and she would always call you every morning and night so we could say hi, good morning, and such. And you'd always end the call saying, today's going to be a great day. Not just good, but great. And when you and Mom would have some sort of trouble, y'all would always find some way to stop any argument and say, I love you. And it would be like it never happened. Even Chloe would always expect you and Mom to say your hellos and your goodbyes because she knew y'all would, and that sets an example. I love you so much. If I could put it into words, there would be infinity papers. That's big in here, but I can't. So with that being said, it's not all said, but like I said, I can't put it into words. So anyway, I tried my best. I'm so sorry for writing this much, but I can't put it into words how much you mean to me. Without you, there would be no me, ! But I know y'all men don't like to read so much, but I could go on and on and on to say how much I love you. Anyways, to sum it up, I love you, love always, Leah, in parentheses, your oldest daughter. And, I think about Terry and a lot of other people. I think about being an independent contractor and going out there, and we always talk about working with people when it's convenient for them and inconvenient for us. Going out of town, I can remember getting my license in 2008 and then just traveling all over the place to run business. Get on an airplane, going to North Carolina and going to Tennessee and driving to Baltimore and driving to New Jersey and driving to Pennsylvania. And because that's where the leads were, I had to, support my family, take care of my kids. And I think about doing that and how hard it can be and how important this has been to Terry to be this positive. And I'm a big attitude kind of person. I just think that attitude I think it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You can talk yourself into or out of anything. And our business is amazing, but if you choose to, it's like anything else, whether it's your academics, whether it's your sports, whatever it happens to be, you can speak into existence, within reason. Now, if I tell you I want to beat LeBron James one-on-one, I can speak into existence for like 75 days straight. I'm never going to beat him one-on-one. But if it's something that you have control over, attitude, activity, go out there and work, it puts you in a different position. So thank you, Terry, for sharing. I sent him an email, so can I read this in the next level call? And he's like, absolutely. And he sent it, a few other guys he works with and thanked him for everything. And I want to read this real quick too, only because I made these notes, but I don't want to mess it up. This one's important. Family First Life is constantly evaluating and reviewing recent trends in the insurance industry so we can continue to be the best that we can be. In doing so, we have recently received information about a trend in the market, and I was going through this stuff trying to make some notes and put the best way to put this because I want to make sure everybody understands. A trend in the market of foreign companies advertising telephone leads. Although Family First Life, we don't control how or where an independent contractor obtains his or her leads, I want to make sure I'm perfectly clear that we don't use telephone leads. We don't use telemarketing leads. And FFL independent contractors, if they're going to sell with the carriers we got, are prohibited from using those leads or engaging others, including lead vendors, to generate or use telephone leads in any way related to Family First Life. Family First Life also does not use and does not allow its independent contractors to use any automatic telephone dialing system, auto dialer, robocall, recorded message, or telemarketing service in the production or generation of leads. To be clear, for any work related in any way to FFL independent contractors shall not purchase or use leads that have been generated using any automatic telephone dialing system, auto dialer, robocall, or telemarketing service. We did not build this company on the use of telephone leads, direct mail, social media, people contacting us because they want help. In addition, FFL is always required and will continue to require all of its independent contractors to comply with all regulatory state and federal law regarding any attempt to contact, call, or communicate with any potential customer or lead. And for me, it's just one of those things that we have more than enough leads. We have more than enough from a direct mail standpoint, call-in leads, where we mail it out and they call into us. But these things pop up all over social media. Every day somebody new's got a telemarketing company, and we want to do things ethically and abide by all regulations, so we don't utilize them at all and don't condone, authorize, or allow anybody to go ahead and work with any carriers we got if you're going to use any kind of telemarketing lead system, period, end of story. So hopefully that's as clear as you can get. I don't think I can make it any clearer than that. That being said, we've never had more. Look at our volume this past week, and we keep, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's a broken record, we keep setting records, which is awesome. And I'm excited today to bring, I got a guest, y'all can't see him, it's kind of like a TV show, right? He's very famous. He looks, you actually, you remind me of the way you're dressed right now, Brad Pitt.
Oh,
I'm just saying,
really?
you look like Brad Pitt.
Well,
So come on up, Brent. I'm going to bring you my buddy Brent Bench from Mutual Omaha. Brent's obviously a great friend of ours. He happens to be in town. We have a lot of carriers coming over the last couple weeks, end of year. So I wanted to give you just a few minutes to kind of, update us. You just look right over there and update us on some things that are going on with you. And we appreciate working with you and Mutual Omaha.
Thanks for having me. Just as a fellow father, Terry, congratulations on that letter. What a sweet little daughter you've raised there. Job well done on being a great father. I just want, Shawn, if I could, I have three things that I just want to reiterate. We've been very busy at Mutual of Omaha making things better for you. It started on October 1st. We increased the maximum issue age for the 10-year and the 15-year Term Life Express products. It was 65, now it's 70. That was October 1st. On October 15th, we got rid of all the phone interviews for ages 61 through 70 on Term Life Express and 61 through 65 on GULE. So no more phone interviews for those folks there for that. And then the big news here is it could be tomorrow, it could be a week from now. We're really about 2 weeks away, or it could be tomorrow, Saturday, of us rolling out our auto instant decision tool on Living Promise. So what that is when you're taking a final expense app, a Living Promise final expense app, electronically, the tool is now going to run the MIB, run the pharmacy report, and give you a decision in the house on that particular case. So we hope to have that out, like I said, possibly tomorrow, if not, probably December 1st. Anyway, somewhere within the next 2 weeks it's going to be out for you. Once that's out and we got all the bugs worked out of that, we're going to roll it out to Term Life Express. So that too will have an auto decision tool. So three huge things that are going to make just doing business with Mutual Omaha better for you. So look for that to come soon. And like I said, the phone interviews going away and the higher ages, they're already out there. So Shawn, that's my big news from the home office.
That's pretty good news. That's big news.
It is, yes.
First of all, thank you. Thank you for what you do. We've been with you for years now. You've been one of our core carriers. We are going to finish this year 175 million issue paid business, life and annuity, and we're going to go to 250 million and well beyond that next year. But we're excited to have you and be in business with you. We're
happy to have a
appreciate
part of that.
You guys do. And you can stay here for a minute, 'cause I'm going to bring up my buddy Zach Luffles. Y'all are going to watch and hear from Zach. Yeah, right? Makes you laugh, right?
Yeah. You'll want to watch this.
Now, so when you met Zach, okay, whenever it was years ago, would you believe he's as successful as he is helping families?
Well, I would say yes. I would say yes.
I would.
How come? He's a people person.
He's a people person. He likes people.
Yeah.
He
excels at what he does.
He doesn't come from a sales background. He was in construction, working. He'll make you cry if you listen to him tell his stories. He never sold anything. Gets a life insurance license. He did not come out of the gate smoking. He kind of just crawled at it and
that's a big spectrum.
Worked his job over here and then did this part-time. But he's one of the best producers, not only we have, but in the entire country, because of Family First Life, nobody in the industry has top producers like we do. I know people like to yell and scream, but like real issue paid, real numbers, like real people, real results, not smoke and mirrors. He's one of the best producers in the entire country. So you won't want to miss this. My buddy Zach Luffles.
Good morning, guys. My name's Zach. I'm from South Carolina. It's always an honor to be on these calls. So today, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna invite you guys to kind of work through some things with me. I guess this could be dangerous, so let's hang on. So the two things that I'm gonna address today are commitment and accountability. You can't have one without the other. And you need both for this business. Okay. I would like to start with commitment. So whenever you're first starting out in this business, you've got to commit to the business. This business is like a relationship, okay? Because whenever you have a relationship, you have to do small things in order to build that relationship. This business is the exact same way. With a relationship, you do all the small things, like you get flowers, you tell the person they're beautiful, that you love them, you make them feel like they're the top of the world, most important, everything like that. Well, with this business, it's kind of the same way. You have to do all the small things, like the self-improvement, the self-education, the reading, the getting on calls. You have to feed this relationship that you call your business. Or just like a relationship with your significant other, it will die. It's the same thing with this, okay? Also with this business, you've got to make sure that you're both committed and accountable to whoever your family is. So if that's your husband, wife, significant other, life partner, children, whoever it is. Because just like with a relationship, if you don't have them involved in this, this business can somewhat become the mistress. And what I mean by that is that if we're spending that much time away from home, everybody's got to be on the same page. Okay. Now, if we haven't committed to this business, okay, so we're out in the field and we're missing time away from our family, we're missing time away from our significant others, our children, and we're not committed and we're not doing the things that we need to do on the back end for us in order to self-develop, train, do all the things, the small little things that make this business work, our bank account starts to suffer. Now, there's no more stress than a wife that has her husband gone and no money in the bank. Okay. That's not a good operation right there. And that won't last for long. Next thing you know, you'll have a job and you'll have to go get a job at 9 to 5 because you simply haven't committed to the process here. So I have no doubt that Family First Life is the absolute best opportunity out here, okay? Like the way that Shawn has set this up, the culture, the training, the compensation, the carriers that we have all partnered with. So this is all set up just like and I call it like the Ferrari of the insurance business, okay? So we've got a vehicle here that is set up for us. That's a Ferrari, but we've got a lot of people, myself included, that pulls that Ferrari into the gas station and they're putting the 87 octane in it whenever it should have the racing fuel. Okay. Now, why are we putting the 87 octane in it? Because that's a commitment level of 4. A commitment level of 4 is comfortable. You can't get hurt. You're paying your bills. You're putting a little change in your pocket, but you see teams like Andrew's team And I see all those guys out there. I've been in the business way longer than a lot of those guys have, but yet they're passing me because they're going to the gas station and they're putting the racing fuel in the Ferrari. All they're doing is putting the commitment level of 12 versus my commitment level of 4. Do I think those guys are any more, they got anything that I don't have? No, absolutely not. All they have is a stronger commitment level than I do. And that goes for anybody, okay? So like if your team's not putting up the numbers that Andrews is, then you've got a commitment problem somewhere in your organization. Either you guys are not committed, they're not accountable, something's going on. Because the only reason why they're doing like, you know, putting 59 people a week into contracting and we're putting 3 is because of our commitment level. And that goes across the board, okay? Another thing about commitment, I know that whenever you get into the zone, all the zone is a commitment, okay? And what I mean by that is whenever you walk into that house, you've committed to doing all the small things, the reading, the self-development, the training, getting on all the calls, talking to other people. Like find a run buddy is what I call it. Somebody that you can call that's out in the field same days that you are, that's having success at this, that you guys can call and kind of bounce back and forth on each other, okay? You know, we got something that we call commitment breath. What we should start calling it is uncommitment breath instead of, or commission breath, rather. We should start calling it uncommitment breath. And what I mean by that is the only way that you're going to go in there and not make sales is if you're not committed, if you're not 100% into it, if you're not doing the reading, if you're not doing all the education, if you're not talking to anybody, if you're not on all the calls, if you're not doing all those little things that are going to breathe life into this relationship that you call your business. If you're going to go in there unprepared, you know, it's like Killiman always says, if you want to get paid like a professional, you need to act like a professional. Professionals are committed 110%. So whenever we're missing sales, we can't look at anybody else but ourselves. It's never been an issue with a client. It's never been, you know, they're not stupid because they don't want to do it. What it is it's a commitment level on myself that I haven't prepared properly whenever I go into that house, that I take those excuses, that I take that surface level answer that they're giving me, that I'm not digging because I don't have the confidence, because I don't have the commitment. Now, as far as accountability, you can't have one without the other. You know, like my buddy Jared Henderson called me up the other day and said, "Hey man, how can we be accountable to each other? You know, like, what are we going to do this upcoming year?" I said, well, you know what? Like, I will commit to 3 interviews a day while I'm in the field. So that's 4 days a week. That's 12 interviews a week. And that's not just like contacts, that's interviews, okay? Now, I know that might be a small commitment on my part, but you got to start somewhere, okay? Because they say it takes 30 days for you to perform something before it becomes a habit. So instead of waiting until 2019's on our doorstep, why don't we go ahead and make some commitments now? So that way we're 30 days ahead of anybody who waits until then. So that way we can hit it running. Now, 12 interviews a week, I mean, is that going to get me where I need to be? No, but if I can commit to 12 a week and I do that for 30 days, then I can commit to 24 a week. And then I can commit to 36 a week. You know, because all it takes is that small commitment and that being accountable to somebody, because it's a lot easier to be accountable to someone else than it is to yourself, because we can always, innately, we're kind of lazy. You know what I mean? Like, let's be real. it's easier for me to account to somebody else than it is for me to take it on myself. You know, like, I heard something one time where the lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, he was going to rehab, and it was his job to put out the chairs every day. And he said that he had wanted to quit so many times, but it was his job. He was accountable to everybody else to put those chairs out every day. And that's what kept him sober for as long as it did. It was that small commitment and that accountability that kept him going back up there even whenever he didn't want to. It'll be that small commitment and that accountability to want to a run buddy that you get that will keep you going out there and getting uncomfortable and going out and seeing clients and calling people every day and hiring people and so on and so forth. It's just that small commitment and that accountability. And that is so, so important. Because Shawn has set up something here that I've never seen before. You know, like, you can reach out to anybody and they're going to talk to you. You know, all the top performers in the whole company. Like, we all want to see everybody win. You know, but I mean, like, the big question is are you going to continue to put the 87 octane in there? Or are you going to go the racing fuel? Are you going to stay at level 4 commitment? Or are you going to get level 12 commitment? So I ask all you guys, what kind of gas you going to put in your Ferrari over these last couple of months so we can hit the finish line of this year and the green flag of next year going full speed. Y'all have a great day.
So, first of all, thank you, Zach. Not every day do you get sales training that's inclusive of the Red Hot Chili Peppers and racing fuel. That's when you know it's got to be good. But on a serious note, think about how good what he said was. And we talked a lot about accountability, putting back into it, both your effort, your attitude, your commitment, the things you're willing to sacrifice, because you are doing this to support your family. You know, money as far as you're investing back in the business, and having people to reach out to. You're not running buddy, call it what you want, but as an independent contractor, listen, if you're at Fan First Life, you are pulling for yourself, and you should be, but you're pulling for everybody else too. It takes a small person to only want to win if everybody else comes down. You know, one of the things I always talk about, my son's 15, and maybe some things I haven't done right with him. I do the best I can as a parent, but one of the things he's learned is he only wants to compete against the best. We know we can put him on a bunch of teams and go out there and go 37-0 in a given baseball season and go, that was awesome, here's our trophy, but we really didn't compete against the best. Play up, play against better people, play against bigger people, play against stronger people, and pull for everybody. I mean, it's your team, you want to win, but you ain't pulling against anybody. Everybody's trying to go out there and go do their deal. So, you know, here we're all in one big team. And our opponent, I guess, is, you know, people not being protected and families not being provided for. We want to fight against that and make sure we protect as many families as we can and make sure the agents provide for their families. Up next is Millie Porcena. For those of you who've not heard her train, got here again in Vegas recently. Is one of the best trainers that we got. Story's amazing because somebody talk about the fuel. I think she probably embodies that with putting that racing fuel in there, because she's somebody that, you know, that Bryan and Mark and obviously Jonathan, her husband, now all work together. But back in the day, you know, she just didn't invest any money in leads and was, you know, kind of playing around and not knowing if she was going to commit or not. And then kind of a culmination of those people and all those people she was working with back in the day kind of said, you need to invest in your business. You have some leads. You need some people to call. And it's funny because she had, you know, X amount of money just kind of saved away after all these years and put it in. And now she's issuing, I think she's going to finish the year over 500 grand. So anybody that's going to issue $500,000 on their own pen in a year, paid business, I'm going to listen to them. So without any further ado, Millie Porcena.
Hi, I'm Millie Porcena with Family First Life La Familia. For those who don't know me, I'll tell you a little bit about my background. I've never been in sales before. I have done sales support. I came from corporate America. I single mom for many years, and I decided to take my license and never do anything with it. I didn't start full time until January 2017. I started working for Bryan, and I was a agent, mentor / hiring manager, and I believed in anyone and everyone that can do this. And it was such a great experience because I could see from the inside of how this business changed people's lives. But I was too afraid to do it for myself. And although I saw everything, all the money that people were making, all the families that people were helping, I personally did not believe in myself. And I believe that as a woman, a lot of times we go through this because we try to be so many things for so many people. So I want to share a little bit about how I got to where I was able to become in the Hall of Fame the first year of being a part of Family First Life. And truly, it was just following the process. You don't even need to have skills. You just need to follow the process, listen to what they're telling you to do. I remember talking to Bryan, and he said to me, Millie, you believe in everybody. Why can't you believe in yourself? And that really had an impact on my life. It really helped me to start looking at my why and what I needed to do to change my financial situation for my family. I always loved helping people. So I knew going into people's homes wouldn't be a problem for me. My fear was I didn't want to be rejected. I didn't want to hear no. And nobody wants to have that feeling. So at January 2017, Bryan explained to me, as obviously how the business is run. I already knew, but he said, Millie, you got to invest in leads. And guys, here's the thing. Whether you have $300 or you have $1,000, you're running a business. And the belief doesn't come in until you start believing that you should truly invest in yourself. And I needed to invest in me. And if you can't do that for yourself, if you can't invest in yourself, then why would anyone else invest for you? So I remember buying my first leads, and it was scary. It was literally the amount of my rent. And I knew that if I didn't make that money back, I wasn't going to pay my rent. I have 3 daughters that I had to take care of. So I bought the leads. I followed the process. I did exactly everything that Bryan told me to do. And let me tell you, on the first appointment, I almost doubled my lead money. And since then, I've never looked back. Buying leads is the blood of the business. It is what has helped me to serve so many families. It's what has helped me to change my daughters' lives. And it has helped me to have more confidence in myself, more belief in myself. I have been able to maintain a staff. My daughter works with me. I've been able to help her buy a car. Now, I know that these are just some of the perks of what we can do in this kind of business. But what the true love that I have, the passion that I have in this business is going and sitting down with families and really just being a part of their lives. So just that 45 to an hour time, and being able to know that I'm putting everything on the table to help that family to be able to get them to understand the reasoning why they need to purchase this for their family. Now, I know it's scary to go into someone's home and you're not too sure what you should do or what you should say. And I'm just going to give you a couple tips of, in fact, my day yesterday, I started off with not having a couple of people say no to me. And it didn't change at all my day. It didn't change my mood because I knew I had 8 appointments. So have leads, dials, and appointments will fix any situation. So the no's are going to be the no's, but here's the thing. I know that I put everything on the table. And at the end of the day, I was able to protect several families. And it was how I position myself. Now, you can't always help everyone, but I do look at where could I have gone, where did I go wrong, what could I have changed, what could I have fixed? Because I do get a lot of, especially from a lot of the females, they'll say, well, how can I get better in the home? Or what am I doing? At the end of the day, you have to maintain a schedule, a very true schedule. If you have children, you have to maintain that schedule. When you're with your children, you're with your children. When you're at work, you're working. And I set that up from the beginning. So my daughters are fully aware of when I'm working. And if I'm actually in a home and one of my daughters will call, I will pick up the phone, just make sure it's nothing important, it's not an urgency. And I'll say I'm sitting with a client, and especially my younger daughter, she's like, you better make sure that you beat JP and help that family. So there's a little competition in our family, but it's all in good fun. But here's a couple tips that I want to go over. First of all, do the things that you don't like doing up front. Do them first. Meaning, when I'm sitting with a client, I'm trying to get as many, objections out of the way. So I'll use Bob and Mary, for example. Bob, Mary, I apologize. I said, you filled this out. I apologize. I didn't get to you sooner. I have a lot of clients, a lot of forms that come in every single day. So I apologize. I haven't gotten to you. Even if they just filled it out, I always apologize, because here's the thing. I say, however, the good thing is that since you filled this out, you've definitely had time to think about exactly what it is that you guys are looking for, right? And I'm nodding my head. So there goes that objection when they say they have to think about it. They just told me that they've been thinking about it, because they have had time since they mailed it out. And by the time I got to it, by the time I could sit down with them, they have had plenty of time to think about exactly what their needs are. So that is my first way of getting out of an objection of I have to think about it. Then I'll say, since we've already thought about what your needs are, now I just need to discuss them with you so I can make sure that we best fit you with the right program, because we do work with 13 different companies. So I'm going to do the shopping for you. Any of those other forms that you filled out will probably end up coming back to me anyway. So just throw them away. Don't even worry about filling them out, because all you needed to fill out was one. There goes another objection that I took care of. The second thing that we're going to do is make sure, Bob, that today we find something that fits in your budget today. Meaning, Bob, when you go to bed tonight, you're not worried about what's going to happen. This is no longer, if God forbid, if you're no longer here, your family's not going to be worried about what's going to happen, because we're going to take care of it today. It's going to be part of your budget, and it's not going to take food off your table. Does that make sense? And they'll say, yeah, because everybody wants to, agree, especially when it comes to the budget. The last thing I say is, the last thing that we're going to do is not in our control, but somewhat in our control. What we're going to do is we're going to do a complete application, meaning that we're going to fill out the application online. We're going to get a driver's license. You're going to give me the person that you're going to be leaving the home to, which in this case, it's Mary. And then in the event that the two of you, God forbid, pass away, who else you would want to leave the home to. And the last thing is we're going to get your banking information, because your bank is going to make and send those payments directly to the insurance company. This way you never have to worry about that bill. Okay? And here, guys, I've already killed a lot of objections, especially the hardest one is people don't want to ask for the check. So for whatever reason, it does happen at times. Someone will say, well, I don't feel comfortable with giving you my bank account information, or, that's not what I want to do. I'm not going to proceed. That's when you know that you don't have a true buyer and someone who truly is looking to, get the coverage that they truly need for their family. And that's when you can just easily say, okay, well, this is how the process is. If you're not serious, then you can leave. You can let them know. Here's a great thing, guys, is that you can say anything to anyone as long as you do it respectfully and you ask for permission. So when you ask for that permission, you're going to be upfront, and you have to do that thing that you don't want to say because you think you're going to offend them. That's exactly what you need to say. Just make sure you get permission to say it. Now, when you're dealing with final expense, the people are already on a budget. So that they don't have to think about whether or not this makes financial sense. So you need to be able to be upfront with them, especially if they're older. They want the truth. They don't need you to come in there trying to be nice and they want the bottom line. So be direct, be upfront with them, and make sure that you're, again, leaving everything on the table. Guys, there's so many videos out there. There's so much training, and I don't have a lot of time. So I just want to say that make this what you want it to be. Meaning, do the sacrifices today. I sacrifice today because I want a better tomorrow for my family. So that means if I have to get on a plane, if I have to stay, in a hotel, I'm driving a Mercedes Benz today, so I'm really not having a bad day. My job, I love it. Love what you do, because if you don't love what you do, you're not going to be able to help the family. So please, don't make it about yourself. When you wake up in the morning, make it about how many families can you truly protect? How many people are going to be able to have that protection because you put them first and not yourself? I hope that helps.
So thank you, Millie. And when you listen to Millie talk, you talk about determination and desire, and that I'm going to stand up for you. I'm in the house. You're here. I'm here. You invited me here, and I'm going to stand up for you. And I'm going to do what I need to do regardless of what. I have to do that. My job is to protect you. It's like when you parent your kids, you can't always ask for permission to do everything. You got to go out and parent them. So, and I appreciate what you do. Thank you for the training. It was outstanding. I loved hearing about how you got started in the leads and that thought process. There's a lot of people that got their life insurance license, looked at investing a little bit of money, and didn't at all, ran the other way. Millie did, and then makes, issues 500 grand a year and makes herself a lot of money for her family. So Bryan Mendenhall's up next, and Bryan Mendenhall, for those of you, a lot of you heard him train. You know how I am. I'm kind of like, I'll tell you who I think is good at what. I'm not going to, say this person's not good at something, but I will, when I know somebody's good at something, I will go, they're really good at it. Bryan, we did the Call to Close series. I've said this a dozen times, and I'll keep saying it because it bears repeating. I was blown away sitting in there watching him. He literally had our staff role playing about in tears. These two people were role playing their position in the video because he's just so good at talking to people and grabbing that emotion and pulling it out. Again, great to hear you train in Vegas. So I'm going to turn it over to my buddy, Bryan Mendenhall.
Hey guys, Bryan Mendenhall. First, I want to thank you, Shawn, for allowing me to get on and share with the team. Guys, today I want to go over some tips that I think will help you, especially coming up on the holiday season or with the holiday season, and then we'll go over some additional tips as well. But one thing, guys, you're going to run into is and you're probably starting to notice it, maybe a little now, but not yet, where people are going to start giving you excuses. Thanksgiving's on the 22nd, which is coming up next week. You got to plan ahead of time. As Matt Smith would say, proper planning prevents poor performance. So, guys, what you want to do is you want to load up. You want to go all in, buy a bunch of leads, have extra leads. Because when people start talking crazy, giving you excuses, it's not going to matter because you got a job to do. You still need to go help families, okay? For example, I'm loading up today, having a ton of leads so that I can go out today, Friday I'm going out Saturday. But I take Sunday off, where Sunday's a normal day that I relax with the family. But I think it's important that we all make sacrifices, and our sacrifices on Sunday, guys, you're not going to take this Sunday off. I wouldn't tell you to take this Sunday off. I tell you to get on the phones, work all day Sunday, booking appointments for Monday, Tuesday. Okay. You can try to book for Wednesday, but some people may act crazy. I would still go out and book for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Normally I don't book more than 2 days out. But the reason I'm doing that is I'm trying to load everything in my favor so that even if I have some fall off, people acting crazy, I still don't miss I don't miss my goal. I still write my 10,000 for the week. Okay. Why is it important, guys? Well, first off, I've been on both sides where, I remember I've been in insurance now for 9 years. So I remember days when I didn't work. I remember years where I didn't work the holidays. And then I remember kind of what my bank account felt like later. And it didn't make sense. It was kind of like buying leads and protecting families was an afterthought. So therefore, My bank account was an afterthought. And that's not what we want. Now I'm not in that situation. But here's the deal. It'd almost be selfish for me to not go out and work, because guess what? There's people on my team, there's people in the country that aren't in that situation right now where financially they do need to work. So we need to lead from the front. All managers, we need to lead from the front, go out and show our guys what we need to do from examples. So that's what I think makes the most sense, especially with the holidays coming up. So again, I'm running business Friday, Saturday, on the phone Sunday, booking appointments for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Guys, so planning ahead of time. Guys, I wanted to talk about like road trips. So let's say you don't have local mortgage protection in your area. Some people don't. And I got this from Mike Killerman. I mean, they have tons of people traveling. I had never really traveled up until the end of 2016. But like, some people are afraid of it. It's almost like taboo to them to jump on a plane. Guys, this last weekend, I jumped on a plane. I went out, I ran Saturday and Sunday. And I think I wrote like $12,000 and just going out and helping people. What did I do? I got uncomfortable. Guys, getting uncomfortable is important. A lot of people want to stay in your comfort zone and nothing happens in your comfort zone. Like you keep doing the same thing and getting the same results. Sometimes you got to shock yourself. I was saying to a couple guys that I like traveling. The reason I like traveling is when I go to another place, I have no distractions. I was saying I like hanging out with my family. I like having my son on the four-wheeler. I like playing football with him, throwing the ball, baseball. I like that stuff. I like dating my wife. But when I'm on the road, there's nothing to distract me at all. I'm just going and getting after it. And literally 2 days of working, $12,000. Who can't do that? It's funny because I'm flying. I always fly American. I like the way they treat me. I always fly first class. But when I'm flying with American, sometimes I'm sitting talking to the guy next to me or the woman next to me, trying to find out what they do. And it's funny, a lot of them are traveling salespeople and they're making 60, 70, maybe sometimes 100 grand. Guys, $8, $10, $12,000 in the weekend. We make so much more money than them, and it's worth it. So guys, if you're not traveling now and you're thinking about it, stop thinking, jump all in. I would try it. Next thing I want to get into, guys, is actually I had the pleasure of attending the West Coast conference, the sales conference. It was on the 5th. It was amazing, guys. That was like I like to say like a small tad bit of what we're going to get at the conference, our annual convention. Guys, I'm excited because being at that convention or being there, I got to see how much better everybody's getting. Guys, we're good. The coolest thing about what I saw there is that we made a lot of mistakes. Like, I made a lot of mistakes. Everyone's made a lot of mistakes. I like that because we made the mistakes. We're teaching you what not to do. We'll show you everything that, hey, this is what we did. This works so much better. So follow this right here. This is how you're going to go out and win. Guys, that's huge. What I could tell you about the conference that's coming up, and what I could also tell you is from watching the presenters, the people that spoke, guys, everybody's pouring their hearts out. They're literally pouring their hearts out. They're not holding nothing back. They know that I saw 350 people in the room. And this was a sales conference, guys. It wasn't an annual convention. It's a sales conference. 350 people in a room, sitting there, hungry. Nobody getting up to go to the bathroom. Taking notes, recording, asking good questions. Those people were fired up out of their minds. What I can tell you about annual convention, I think they said we're going to have 1,300 people come out. People are going to come there and change. You're going to come there and you're going to leave that convention knowing that, hey, you know what? This is where big decisions are made. That's where I made a decision to go from, I was at 250 grand. I went to 500,000. And I guarantee it was from sitting in that room, watching people walk across stage, watching people get the recognition. It does something to you guys. Make sure you plan. Make sure you get there. That's January 31st to February 2nd. All in. Go online. Register for your room. It's probably going to be sold out soon. But I would tell you to go register, guys, because if you don't plan ahead, you're not going to end up being there. And I don't mean to be mean, but I want to be direct and I want to be straight up with you. If you don't book to go to that convention, I'd probably say 3 to 4 months from now, you probably won't be with us. I hate to say it, But if you're not at the convention, you're probably not going to be there with us. Why do I say that? Because if you don't care enough to take your business serious enough to be at the event where you're going to learn the most, I haven't seen anybody walk out of there saying that they made less than $100,000 from a 2-3 day event. So if you're not there, most likely you're probably not going to be with us. All right. That's the plug I got for you guys. That's the truth. I only talk from the heart all the time. So I tell you guys to be there. Go ahead and register today. All right. These are tips, guys, with actually going out and selling. And I had a new agent ask me the other day, it kind of threw me off a little bit. He said, "Hey, Bryan, why? Like, how do you seem like you care so much, like, about the clients? Like, how do I act like that? How do I act like I really care, like, as much as you do? And then the people will like me. Then the people will trust me." And I was like, I'm not going to say the guy's name, obviously, but I almost felt bad for him for a second. I was like, "Listen, buddy, I'm not faking. I actually care about the families when I'm going out and helping people. So the way that you can act like you care is to actually care. To actually know that every time you're sitting with a family, you're literally in a battle. And the battle is you protecting them against poverty in the event. Let's say they pass away and they lose their house. Or God forbid they die and they leave a burden on the family. We're fighting a battle, but here's the deal. I need to win the battle. You need to win the battle so that family can win the war. The war against losing the home, the war against being a burden on their kids when they never wanted to be that. So actually care, guys. Care about the families, and I guarantee you'll do so much better. The clients know. Man, they can see through limo tent. These clients aren't stupid. When you sit down with them, they know if you actually care. They know if you're there for a check. And if you're there for a check, you got commission breath. They can smell it, and then they don't want to do business with you. That's how it works, guys. Next tip I would give you guys is, and nobody's confused about this with me, and the more that you guys can do it, the better results you're going to get. Leaving it all on the table, guys. Leaving it all on the table when you're sitting with the client, when you're sitting with the family, is so important. And the reason I say it's so important is they may never sit with another person again to talk about insurance. You're that one family's chance. You're that person's one chance to sit with a professional and to make a decision to get some insurance. So it's all on you. It's all on you. So when you walk out of somebody's house and you haven't given it your all, you haven't asked 3, 4, 5 times for them to go ahead and make a decision with you today, you've let that family down. How many times you walk out of a house and you think to yourself, man, I probably could have done something more. What I will tell you is if you leave it all on the line, you will never feel bad for not protecting a family. Do I help everybody? Absolutely not. But do I feel bad about any of these houses I walk out of and don't protect? Heck no. The reason being is I've left it all on the table, all on the line. I don't care about them judging me. I don't care about what they think about me. As long as they know, every one of these people I sit with, they know that I care about them. They know I have their family's best interests in them. I would suggest you do the same, guys. And the last thing that I would tell you guys is the power of telling stories. I mean, you all seen the call to close. I've been going around the country training on telling stories, getting people emotional. Guys, selling through emotions and backing it up with logic, I don't really think it's anything better. If you get all the information you need up front to help them make a wise decision, and then it's time for them to make a decision, if you've done your job and you've got them emotional, you've told stories, it's going to make your job a lot easier, guys. They can picture themselves. They can visualize themselves in the situation, in the story that you told, and that's the last thing that they want. They want to protect their families. Guys, those are the little tips that I have for you guys. I would tell you again, guys, register for a convention, get your schedule together, get your leads. Don't take leads and have leads as an afterthought, or your bank account will be an afterthought. Thank you guys again for allowing me to share, Shawn. I really appreciate it. Take care, guys.
I agree, Bryan. Thank you so much about everything you said. And also the convention. I think what Bryan's trying to say is we can't get all that information to you without you being there. And free to attend. There's no charge to get there. You register, you just register to get there. You know, stay at the Venetian, come join us, be there, get all the amazing training. Everything Bryan said, I don't even need to comment on it. It was so good. I don't want to thank you for that. I'm going to turn it over now to Shawn Ruggiero. We're going to run a little bit over text. We had 3 amazing guests and Shawn's information, which is going to be awesome. So if you bear with us a few minutes after noon Eastern time, thank you for tuning in. Shawn Ruggiero, it's all yours, buddy.
All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Next Level Call. This is Shawn Ruggiero, and I'm sharing with you a topic today that I find it pretty exciting. And the reason I say that is because it pertains directly to you who are on this Next Level Call, whether you're watching on Facebook Live or if you're listening in. You know, what industry have you gotten into? Okay. Well, we are in the insurance industry. We're in the insurance industry in a scope of many different things that has to do with financial services. That's annuities, IUL products, and then, of course, your more traditional life insurance, which we usually write term life insurance, whole life insurance, through mortgage protection, final expense. And I want to let everyone know that the future is bright, okay? Let's take a look at this here. Some very interesting things to note. First thing to point out is the status of pensions versus what's called the defined contribution plans. Okay, so a defined benefit plan is different than a defined contribution plan, and that sounds kind of like technical jargon. It's really pensions versus 401ks. All right, now 401ks, 403bs, 457s, those are defined contribution plans. You can contribute to them, okay? And we're going to go through the history of the 401k here. I think it's some interesting stuff. But, you know, when people started working for companies coming back from World War II, okay, the baby boomers were being born, and we went through an economic boom that was unprecedented. And people were coming back from a war that we won, fighting the Nazis and the Empire of Japan, in a victorious campaign. And I'm not being political, I'm just saying it was an era of the golden age where everybody was coming back and going to work, and there was a lot of money made during the war, a lot of money being generated after, as America asserted themselves as a superpower. And people wanted security. People would stay at jobs for 20, 30, 40 years, and they wanted security. So what were they given? They were given pensions, right? And if we look at that, if we look at the history of pensions, it was the predominant retirement source in addition to Social Security, and people lived well, right? People lived well if they were retiring during that time, or at least in the 10, 20 years after, the 60s, maybe even the 70s. But what has happened? What has happened with pensions? Even companies like Boeing, I say that because I live up here in Seattle in the Northwest. Boeing is a massive company. And just a few years ago, they stopped offering pensions. They fell in line with every other company out there. They stopped offering pensions. In fact, it's so rare to find pensions that you usually only find them with government service workers, military workers. That's usually the only pensions you find left. And those are jobs that people take because of the pensions oftentimes. So this is a very interesting visual graph talking about just from 1998. Okay, how much has it changed in 20 years? From 1998, it was 50-50. Half people were doing half companies were offering defined contribution plans, and half were offering defined benefit plans or pensions. So 401ks and pensions, they're about split. Now fast forward here to 2015, that's as recent as this data is, but it hasn't changed. If anything, it's diminished more. You've got 5% offering pensions and 95% offering defined contribution plans. Why does that matter? Okay, here's the prelude to what we're talking about. It matters because if everyone out there is retiring off defined contribution plans, they need help. They need annuities, and that's what you sell. So let's look at the history of the 401k. The history of the 401k is as follows. So in 1980, the 401k went into law. All right. Now, it went into law in 1980. It wasn't until 1981 that it was actually defined as something you could take out of your paycheck as a pre-tax amount. In fact, there was a guy who's famous for it. So if you Google Ted Bena, B-E-N-A, it's just funny because it kind of sounds like benefits. He was a benefit advisor for a public company called Johnson & Johnson. You probably use their products. And he was the first to get employees to use this tax-deferred account for retirement. He saw this in the tax code, in the IRC, the Internal Revenue Code, and he says, you know what? Johnson & Johnson, he went to the board and he said, we could save ourselves a lot of money by deferring taxes on these people's contributions. And you know what? Since pensions are harder and harder to fund, this would be a great way to get people to save for retirement and supplement Social Security. So he really is considered kind of the godfather of the 401k. So in 80, it goes into law. In 81, Bena uses it with Johnson & Johnson, and it takes off from there. So by 1983, and if we look back, we start to see, well, I'm sorry, this graph doesn't go back far enough, but you start to see that's when the shift happened, okay? So in 1983, nearly 50% of all large companies, these are your Fortune 500 companies and beyond, Fortune 1000, 2000, probably what the companies you'd find on the Russell 2000, they're now offering 401ks. By 1996, get this, the 401k plans cumulatively exceed $1 trillion. That's not billion, that's $1 trillion. That's 12 zeros following it. In 1996, 401k plans now exceed $1 trillion. And by 2017, they've exceeded $5 trillion. Lots of money out there in 401ks, continuing to grow and continuing to be preparing for retirement, which is where we help them out with annuities, FIAs, and lifetime income. Now let's look at the history of the IRA. Okay, the IRA is still relatively new also. But let's piece this together. The IRA is the individual retirement account. So think of a qualified plan, a 401k, a 403b, a 457. What happens when they retire? They put it into an IRA. See, we think of these financial advisors as someone who have been around since the Stone Age. They really haven't. You know how many people invested in stocks back in the 20s? It's like less than 1%. You know how many people invested in stocks in the stock market in the 1950s? It's less than 3%. Very few people started investing until the IRA became prevalent. Because if you have these defined contribution plans and they're making institutional investments in your pension account, which is now your 401k account, right? It's shifted. It's now your responsibility, not the company's responsibility. That's essentially what's going on. And you shift this over, where are you going to put that money? Well, you're going to keep investing in the stock market because that's what the financial advisor does. So the financial advisor's lifespan in this thing is decades old. It's not centuries old. And I think we need to understand that. With the rise of 401ks came the rise of IRAs and came the rise of the financial advisor telling people where to put their money. And all of a sudden, everybody had exposure to the stock market. See, when you were retiring in 1950, you didn't have to worry about the stock market. You didn't invest in the stock market, did you? Now, it might have an indirect impact on the company you work for who's paying your pension, but no one even thought about it. It's come so full circle that now pensions are gone and you are directly exposed to the stock market. But that was never the intention. No one took a pension back in 1950 and said, I hope I made the right choice with my investments. No, they took their pension because they wanted a lifetime income. See, we have to start thinking about that. We're the ones that are bringing the pension back, so to speak. And we have lots of options. We have FIAs, we have Safe Growth, we have the Performance Elite. We have things that can account for long-term care, income doublers, the Benefit 10, which is kind of the Swiss Army knife of annuities. Don't worry about that right now. My point is this. My point is that predicting the market is not preparing for the market. And what we're trying to do is prepare for the market. So in preparing for the market, we're basically getting them back to the pension world where they're getting that secured, guaranteed income for the rest of their life. So today, it has shifted. It used to be 10,000 people a day are turning 65. Well, that's growing. It's now 12,000 people every day turn 65. That's 12,000 potential clients that you have every day. People that are retiring, people that are taking those defined contribution plans and needing to turn them into IRAs and needing to turn them into pensions. All right, 2017, the IRA assets, get this. So if our 401k assets in the United States are exceeding $5 trillion, IRA assets exceed $7 trillion. That's almost 13 trillion combined. And by 2020, it's projected, according to Statista, it's projected to exceed $10 trillion, just the IRAs. The 401ks will probably be somewhere around 7 trillion by then. So that's 17 trillion going on 20 trillion. And these trends are projected to grow for the next 30 years. So what does that mean? Well, first, we need to understand the industry you're in. The average, according to Limmer, the average insurance agent, full-time, who makes around $50,000, that might be a bit high. The average insurance agent, these are people out there writing these annuities, is 59 years old. It's a 59-year-old male Caucasian. It is a dying breed. In fact, McKinsey and Company estimated, this article came out in 2016, they estimated that a quarter of the insurance agents were lost. I'm sorry, they estimated that the industry would take a big hit in 2018. They came back and estimated that that hit was a quarter, 25%. So in 2018, which is the year that we're in, 25% of full-time insurance agents were gone, lost to retirement, moving on. And everybody knows what a struggle it is to get new insurance agents in. Why? You know, sometimes it's not considered a very sexy job. Sometimes it's not considered a very easy job. It's definitely got its challenges. People don't want to work on sales. People think that robo-advisors and InsurTech is going to eliminate everything. Companies like Lemonade out there selling car insurance. Companies like Policy Genius selling life insurance. Well, guess what? Policy Genius has a call center with licensed agents who answer the phone. So even though the lead was generated through the internet and through your mobile phone, through retargeting and pixeling and all these fancy things that we can do now to market people, it blows your mind, right? It is fantastic what you can do to get your message in front of people. At the end of the day, it's insurance agents that are closing the deals. But those numbers are dwindling. If you look here in 1990, there was an estimated 352,000 agents. In 95, it went down to 318,000. In 2000, 288,000. And it keeps dropping. Today, there are just about 200,000 licensed agents. And that's projected to continue to decline. And by 2030, it's projected to be under $100,000. Or excuse me, under 100,000 agents. So why is that good? It's good because as the assets grow, see, we're the new agents, we're the young agents, we're attacking this with a vigor and a fresh start and better technology, better backing, companies like Athene. Look at the gap that you're creating. See, if we were competing for this money back in 1990, we would have a tough go of it. But now the supply and demand curve has shifted in your favor and shifted dramatically. I've done the math, even on conservative numbers. If you took the amount of assets in IRAs and divided by the number of insurance agents full-time that are actually out there writing annuities or could write annuities, there is $250 million with your name on it. $250 million. That's millions and millions and millions of dollars in commission. And it's only going to get better. So kind of a different message today, talking about the state of the industry, talking about why the future is bright. But I believe this is important because unless you are that person that is on your last year before you retire or you're going to get out of this industry, then you're going to be attacking this for the next 10, 20 years, maybe even 30 years. Look at what that looks like from an annuity standpoint. There is going to be money everywhere you look. So what's important is this: start learning your annuities, get disciplined, practice, read the trifolds, watch the training videos, ask every single client every single time, have confidence in what you do, and explore new lead options. Things like the estate planning lead from social insurance leads. Work on your warm market. Email out to your clients and your friends and your family what you're doing. When the market goes down, follow Safe Money Smart on Twitter. Send those videos out. Create a rumbling. Create a knowledge, create a following, and there's going to be so much more money out there than you could ever imagine because the supply and demand curve is working in your favor. So it's a great time to be out there as an agent, and it will only get better. Thank you, everyone, for having me on the call. Make it a great week. Take care.